Welcome back to another week. This week we are reseeding. My plan for this video is to take you through the entire process from start to finish, and hopefully by the end of the video I'll be down there closing this gate on a freshly reseeded field saying that was a great week's work. So I spent 8 hours ploughing on Saturday. Today is Monday morning and I'm hoping to get the last 1.5 acres ploughed and finished, and then we will be back here later in the week to get this field power harrowed, rolled, sowed, rolled, maybe rolled again and sowed with fertiliser. The first part of the job is ploughing. So normally I would spray off a field that's in, kill the grass before I reseed, but I decided against it this time just because there's rain coming at the end of the week and I want to get these paddocks reseeded and back into my grazing rotation as fast as possible. My ploughing is not perfect. I did spend too long this morning footering about with the plough, trying to make adjustments, trying to make sure the furrows were perfectly level, and honestly most of the time I just spent making it worse, and I ended up essentially going back to the way it was set on Saturday. So I shouldn't have wasted the time. I should have just left things alone. It's not perfect, but it's absolutely good enough. Unfortunately, I am having to plough this in one direction. I have tried 3 times to plough up the hill, thinking, oh, it's bound to be dry enough now, or the hill's bound to be less enough now, and each time I've just spun the wheels and got stuck and made a mess. So I'm just going to plough it down the hill. It's a bit more time consuming, but it's not too bad. The soil is turning over very nicely. There's a lot of grass in this field. It was poorly grazed out and then it's regrown for a week since. But it's doing a good job of burying that grass. I'm pretty happy with it. As I learned on TikTok this week, doing a video about ploughing is a dangerous video to make. There's plenty of people who are very keen to give advice on what you're doing wrong, which I appreciate, okay? I would like to do the job better if I could. I just don't actually think it's that important. Maybe I'm wrong in that. So I'm happy with the job it's doing. Absolutely, the plough needs some attention. It needs new skimming boards on some of the furrows. Probably needs set a bit better. I don't really know what I'm doing, but for me, it's turning the soil over. It's hiding most of the grass. I'll count that as a success. So we're just going to plough to the end of that marker furrow. We're going to leave that little triangle bit there, not reseeded. And then the plan is to get this entire field done throughout the year. So this is a 25-acre field. It's divided down the middle by this hedge. And the back bit of this field, which you can't see on camera, is a giant steep hill that goes down to the river, and it has the only bit of this farm, the only bit of the home farm, which has not been reseeded. So we're going to work our way towards that this year and get it reseeded. Our problem always is making sure we have enough grass to be able to take paddocks out to reseed, and that's why we're taking the opportunity now at the start of the year, because for once we have plenty of grass ahead of us. I have a smaller front furrow than I would want, and I can't really understand why. I can push the plough across and take more on the front furrow, but then I think it does a worse job because it's only throwing it further away from the previous furrow, so you don't gain anything. So I'm just leaving it set like that. If anyone can tell me how to take more on the front furrow, please feel free. Right, I'm going to try and get this finished as fast as I can, so I'm going to put the camera down for a while, probably listen to a podcast or something, trying to keep myself entertained, since ploughing is the world's most boring job. So welcome back to day 2 of reseeding our fields. For me this is like day 4, but for you it's day 2. Yesterday you will have seen me ploughing the last of the second field. Today we are power harrowing for the first pass in the first field that I ploughed. We're trying to go in nice and shallow, just deep enough to engage the levelling board and to pull a little bit of soil with us, but not too much. So I kind of was setting up my power harrow in my first pass. Everything was a bit chaotic, a bit messy, but I've got it set nicely now, so we can start to actually push on and get this field done. I posted a TikTok of my ploughing, and to put it nicely, I received some feedback on my ploughing, and I will be honest, it was not my best work, but once you run the power harrow over it, you'll never see the difference. And I know better than anyone what a bumpy field from someone who's bad at ploughing feels like, and it's not the end of the world. And to be honest, after the first year, it just disappears, so it's fine. The power harrow I am using today is our 4-meter Kuhn, and it's a really old power harrow. I reckon it was probably made in the early 2000s. I haven't actually looked at the little nameplates, but it does a fantastic job, Anyway, I'm trying to keep this video short, so I don't want to spend too long on any one job. So let me show you what this field was ploughed like. I will say that it looks messier than yesterday's field, but it's fine, it's power harrowing great. And I'll show you the difference after I've power harrowed it. I'll maybe wait till I'm like halfway across the field before I record that bit, just so you can get a better idea of what a chunk of power harrowed ground looks like. We're going to go a wee bit faster. We're doing 7 kilometers an hour. Last week's video where I showed you this field in a bit of a state after the cows grazed it, it's hard to believe that that was only 8 days ago that the cows were in here, and it was like a swimming pool. It was soaking. And we should have it reseeded from cows grazing it and poaching it to sowed, rolled, fertilised, ready to go again within 10 days, which is not terrible considering how wet it was this time last week. I am going to finish power harrowing this field, then I'm going to go bring the cows in, then I have to go and get my mobile wood-fired sauna ready because I'm taking it to Loch Earn this evening. So that comes above actually doing farming work. That is priority number 1. But I will film this on the second pass tomorrow, and then we'll talk about how the seed bed is after power harrowing and how I would like it to be left before seeding. So what we do in between power harrowing and sowing the grass seed. We will get back to our reseeding in a couple of hours, but first I want to give you a bit of a grazing update. It looks like it's going great, but it's really not. I feel like I've complained too much in the last couple of videos, so I'll start by saying that the weather is brilliant and I'm so happy to see it, and I will happily take this weather over rain. However, I do want to point out an important point about why it is so bad to put your cows out late. Why? The issue is that the cows are grazing silage swards. Literal silage swards. The quality is still there. The grass is still really good feed. It's actually better than our silage. Our milk yieldings went up by 1 litre a cow since they went back out, and they came off some of the best silage I've ever made. There's the silage analysis, 11.9 ME, 33% dry matter. Like, the silage is as good as I'm ever going to make, and they still went up a litre grazing these heavy covers. The issue with grazing heavy covers like that is you cannot get it grazed down properly. And if you don't get it grazed down properly, it really hurts your energy the next time round. This is what the cows came out of yesterday, and they left a lot of grass. They left so much grass that I'm putting the cows out at night to try to catch up, to try to graze it down, to try to get a rotation started and get it to where it should be. So my point is, them 7 extra days, I know that's 5, them 7 extra days grazing that I got by putting my cows out 3 weeks ago for 3 days, and by being willing to damage 4 paddocks and reseed them, has been invaluable. The cows aren't going to be in here for another 4 or 5 days, and it's already past grazing. And you may ask, why do I not cut them fields, bale them, put them into the silage pit? Well, the reason is that we are so highly stocked that if we'd done that, we would then be short of grass in like 2 or 3 weeks and have nothing to graze. So my decision has been to try to manage the heavy covers as best that I can, try to graze them as we go, and try to get a proper grass wedge, proper rotation started. Hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, back to the reseeding. First of all, I have to go get some drain pipes. We're doing draining at the minute as well, so life is very busy, but I'll catch up with you probably in like 2 or 3 hours when I am power harrowing the fields for the second time. The 2 reseed fields got 1 tonne an acre of lime last night. Their pHs are 6.2 and 6.3. So there's a good argument they didn't need lime, but I decided to apply it anyway because I'm trying to get my pHs up to 6.5. I've always got my lime from a local guy called Mark Lyons. I think it's called Mark Lyons Lime, something like that. And anytime I phone him, even if it's short notice, he always gets here, gets the lime on, and it does a really good job. Okay, we've nearly have these fields ready for sowing. I have the first field all rolled, finished, ready for grass seed, and I'm just heading down to roll the second field before I go and do the milking. We're also putting in some drains down here. The Puma is still power harrowing for the second pass down here, so it's kind of all happening. This roller's pretty wide, so I have to be quite careful. So we have a heavy roller just for this job. What that means, I think it's a 36-inch barrel, I think, and it is full to the max with water. And the only thing this roller is used for is rolling reseeds. A roller should never be used on grassland. It's definitely a help to roll your reseeds before you sow the grass seed, and I know that's not that common, but it does make a big improvement. This is a wet bit of the field. There's no point in reseeding a field if you're not going to fix the drains. I will come back and plough and power harrow and sow this little strip when I'm doing another bit of the field opposite. If you're wondering why I don't just wait a week or two, I don't have a week or two. I need to get this back into grass. So I'm pretty certain this video is going to be kind of jumping about all over the place because I'm recording it over several days and I honestly don't remember what I've said and what I haven't said. So let me give you like a quick summary of our reseeding process. Trees in my roof. Obviously we start with ploughing. We don't do min-till, we always plough. I've never tried min-till. I just really like the idea of turning the soil over, getting as much air in as possible and getting rid of as much compaction as possible. It has probably been 7 or 8 years since this field was last ploughed and reseeded. So, you know, you don't get an opportunity to plough the field, to get air in, to get compaction out very often. So I think you're better just taking the choice, taking the chance rather, and ploughing the field. Once it's ploughed, we will go in with the power harrow. We do 2 passes. I have tried 1 pass, like I said earlier, but I think you do need the 2 passes to get the seed bed fine enough so that you get a good establishment. After the power harrow, we come in and we roll the seed bed. That is exactly what I'm doing now. Generally, we don't have to lift stones because either the power harrow pushes them down or that heavy roller will push them down and get rid of them. If there's any very large stones, they are usually left until after it's been sowed and gathered at the very, very end. There's a little bit of soil sticking to my roller, which is a problem. I might need to leave this until after milking to dry out a little bit. We'll keep going, it might be okay. We don't do land leveling, we don't do chain harrows, none of that. It's kept very simple and it's very fast. After I'm finished rolling this field now, there will be someone coming in to sow grass seed. We do not own a grass seed box, a grass seed sower, whatever you want to call it. I could buy one, but the people who come and do it for me are very good and they're always available and flexible. So I don't think I'm going to buy a grass seed box sower, whatever you want to call it. And then the final job is after, this is very bouncy, this shows how bad my ploughing is. I definitely need to roll this up and down the hill. And the very final thing we do is we apply fertilizer. Some people say we should apply it at the point where we're sowing the grass seed before we roll it the final time, but generally that doesn't work out for whatever reason. So I come back in a couple of days later and sometimes I sow it with straights, sometimes I sow it with a compound like 18, 14, 14. It just varies on what I have there, how busy I am, all that sort of stuff. The Puma is finished, so it's just down to me to finish this rolling now. And that is the second of the two fields ready to be sowed. It's a wee bit sticky, but it's not going to cause any issues, so I will get it all rolled this afternoon. Right, I am going to finish doing this job and I will bring you back down here whenever the man is sowing the grass seed, show you that process and then show you the results when we roll it a second time. So it is now Thursday evening. This is the 4th day of reseeding and the guy has just arrived to put in the grass seed. I have to go close the cows down, and whilst I'm walking down here to close the gate in the field, I'm going to take you through what grass seed I'm using and why. So I normally get a custom mix of grass seed made just for me. So I pick the varieties, I pick how much, and then the grass seed's manufactured and delivered to my farm for me to use. However, sometimes I don't have enough time to get a mix made for myself and delivered, so I have to buy a pre-mix or one that's already been done and is already produced. And if that happens, and it does happen probably 30 or 40% of the time that I'm reseeding a field, my preferred grass seed is Defiantly grass seed. If you're in Northern Ireland, you'll know what Defiantly is. If you're not in Northern Ireland, it's a big cooperative essentially. It's not an advert. Defiantly are not giving me free grass seed. I have been ripped off on grass seed like everyone else. But it is a good mix. The one I prefer is Gold Label or Gold Label Special. The special means it has no clover. Clover's a waste of time and money on this farm. This field right here was reseeded at the end of last year and it got a mix that I made for myself, but I added clover in because everyone kept telling me to add in clover. And I finally caved in and done it, and I got a brilliant strike of clover. I had very few weeds in this field at the end of last year, and so I decided to not spray the field to protect the clover. Long story short, there is still plenty of clover in the field, but there was also a lot of weeds. I went in here on Monday or Tuesday, can't really remember, with Forefront and sprayed the whole field. So all of that clover, gone. As you can see, the covers are absolutely ridiculous. I've said this before in the video, but it's really getting out of hand. The cows were out at night for the first night last night. So this is their second night out. We usually wouldn't give the cows fresh grass at night. They would just eat what's left from during the day. But we have so much grass at the minute that we're trying to keep intakes up and get them to eat as much as possible. Anyway, I got distracted. Grass seed varieties. What are we sowing in them two fields? To be honest, I don't remember the details about the varieties on this list, but I do remember the names, and I know I've put them in my own mixes when I have looked at the recommended variety list. Galgorm, I'm pretty sure, has good spring growth and is an intermediate perennial ryegrass. And I'm pretty sure it's high yielding as well. I'll stick up here what the actual specs are. I think it's a higher yielding variety above 100. Energies I kind of look at, but I mainly focus on yield, and I kind of want early or intermediates. I've definitely used Gosford before, can't remember anything about it, and I have used a lot of Ballantoy. Again, honestly, I can't remember much about it. Unfortunately, this grass seed has clover, but that will die out pretty quickly once I spray it with a post-emergence herbicide. So what's the difference in a pre-mixed and a custom mixed grass seed if a lot of the varieties which I would use are on this? Well, the main difference is there is some varieties on this which I would not choose. They tend to be late heading, lower yield, lower energy. I'm not really sure why they're added. Sometimes they're there to thicken up the soil in case people have wetter ground or wetter fields, but that's why I prefer a custom mix, because you can tailor the grass seed to suit your conditions better. I'm gonna have to go video this guy sowing the grass seed, and I hate this. I hate standing there with a camera being useless. I've had a better idea. I'm gonna get my drone. I never really use it because normally I'm the one doing the job, but for once I'm not doing the job, so I may as well go put my drone up.
I used to rule the world, seas would rise when I gave the word. Now in the morning I sleep alone, sweep the streets I used to own. I used to roll the dice, feel the fear in my enemy's eyes, listen as the crowd would sing. Now the old king is dead, long live the king. One minute I held the key, next the walls were closed on me, and I discovered that my castle stand upon pillars of salt and pillars of sand. I hear Jerusalem bells are ringing, Roman cavalry choirs are singing. Be my mirror, my sword and shield, my missionaries in a foreign field. For some reason I can't explain, once you've gone there was never an honest word. And that was when I ruled the world.
So to summarise how we reseed fields on this farm. These are not hard and fast rules, these are just what we normally do. We normally spray off the old crop. Yes, this was an exception, but 99% of times we will use Roundup and kill off the old grass. We have never stitched in grass seed. That is about to change over the next few weeks, but up to now we have always ploughed. Once the field's ploughed, we come in with the power harrow. We try to keep it as shallow as possible to not damage too much of the soil structure, and we will do 2 passes with the power harrow until our seed bed has no clumps of soil bigger than about a golf ball. Once the power harrowing is done, we roll the seed bed before we sow it with grass seed. If you take anything from this video, I really want it to be that you need to roll your seed bed. We don't sow our own grass seed, we don't own the equipment to sow our own grass seed, and it also saves us time not having to sow our own grass seed. I use one of two people. The person who done this and the other field today was a man named Aaron Hawks. He does overseeding, stitching in, sows grass seed. He does a really good job. After the grass seed is sowed, we will roll the field. We always roll the field. It is absolutely crucial that you use a proper heavy roller, so 36-inch barrel filled to the throat with water, to really get a firm seed bed. You want contact between the soil and your seed. That is crucial to get a good strike. I have tried rolling the seed bed twice after it was sowed, although to be honest, I didn't notice any difference. There's actually a very simple way to tell if you're doing a good or a bad job of rolling your seed bed, and that is when the grass starts to come up, check if you've got grass seed growing faster in your tire tracks than you do in the rest of the field. I have to go pay this man for sowing my grass seed. We'll finish this when I come back. Reseeding is a lot of work, but a fresh field of new grass is not only satisfying, but it makes a lot of money. Let's see how firm our seed bed is after it's been rolled for the final time. I can't really think of a better way to sort of show you how firm it is than checking for footprints. Can you see my footprints? Because I can't. I 100% could ride a bicycle across that. Right, it's getting late and I'm tired, so I'm going to finish rolling this field. I'll do the second field in the morning. That'll be it done. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you might have learned something. If you did, give it a like, consider subscribing, and any comments, feedback, criticism, compliments, stick them down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next week.